for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk facts.
We're giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
Play it on the car ride, play it when you lounge. X and O, you know that we can hold it down. Shout out to my man Sammy, got it off the ground. And to all the listeners tuned in right now, got debates, analysis, and speculation. This is sports talk for the new generation. You know where to find us, got a reputation. Sick podcast, your #1 sports destination.
We're giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
S-I-C-K, it's the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk back. S-I-C-K,
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 S-I-C-K.
All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
S-I-C-K, it's the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk facts.
We're giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
Play it on the car ride, play it when you lounge. X and O, you know that we can hold it down. Shout out to my man Sammy, got it off the ground. And to all the listeners tuned in right now, got debates, analysis, and speculation. This is sports talk for the new generation. You know where to find us, got a reputation. Sick podcast, your #1 sports destination.
We're giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
S-I-C-K, it's the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk back. S-I-C-K,
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 S-I-C-K.
S-I-C-K.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast. With Tony Marinaro.
55 seconds left in the penalty, a minute and 27 seconds left in regulation time. Boston 4, Montreal 3. Lafleur coming out rather gingerly on the right side. He gives it into Lemaire, back to Lafleur. Oh!
The sickest Montreal Canadiens podcast.
You're in the ball!
Sports entertainment like no other.
Rejoint, on lui fait perdre la rondelle, une passe devant. Et c'est le dégagement et ce sera la victoire des Canadiens. Stanley pour les Canadiens, le 23e de l'histoire.
You found the dogs! John, you found the dogs! He found the dogs! And all together, they worked a young team to the top. And now, a 24th Stanley Cup banner will hang from the rafters of the famous Forum in Montreal. The Canadiens win the Stanley Cup!
Brought to you by Energy Transportation Group. Driven to be different. LaBita.tb. Embrace your true nature. And Playground, your premier gaming destination. It's gonna be sick.
Matt Ohayon with you. What is going on, everyone? The Hebrew Hammer is here on the Sick Podcast after a big 5-2 Montreal Canadiens victory over the Chicago Blackhawks. Let's take care of some business before we dive into the game. All right. The Sick Podcast is brought to you by Energy Transportation Group. Energy Transportation Group has recently been named by Deloitte and CIBC as one of Canada's best managed companies, the country's leading business award recognizing innovative and world-class companies. The best managed Canadian companies designation fuels Energy's purpose for creating progress for our customers, our employees, and our communities. Join a winning team. Check out Energy's career page for available opportunities. We're also brought to you by, of course, Playground, who hosted our pregame podcast last week. Experience the world-renowned poker experience with free food and drinks at their cash game tables. A bad beat jackpot that's already over $700,000 after the world record-setting amount of $2,590,000 was won on August 2nd. Weekly promotions, daily tournaments, and unmatched customer service. Why play anywhere else? Located just over the Mercier Bridge, only minutes away from downtown Montreal. Playground. And of course, we're brought to you by La Bita TB Beer, brewed in Quebec and a winner of a dozen international awards. La Bita TB offers quality microbrewery beers made with premium ingredients for everyone's taste. La Bita TB, embrace your true nature. All right, like I mentioned off the top of the show, the Canadiens win 5-2 in Chicago. Frankly, I thought that this, given the current context of this game in which it was played, was probably, I don't care if it's against the Chicago Blackhawks, who stink. I don't even know where they are in the standings, but they're definitely in the bottom five. That was one of the most impressive games of the season, in my opinion, for the Montreal Canadiens. Whether you like that opinion or not, well, one man who is gets his say. Well, you all have your say in the comments, but one man will have his say. He joins me most Friday evenings, and he's joining us again. It is Mr. Stu Cowan of the Montreal Gazette. Stu, how are you?
I'm doing well. Yourself?
I'm doing fine. I'm coming out. I don't know what I have because I had a Christmas party last week. A million people at this party were sick. Apparently, I was one of them who caught the illness. It's not COVID, so I don't know what the hell's going on, but it knocked me out for about a week. But I don't know if you could hear it in my voice, but I'm back.
Yeah.
I'm feeling a lot better. I might cough a couple times in the show, so for our listeners and viewers, I apologize for that. How are you doing?
I'm good. Luckily, I'm feeling fine. That was actually an entertaining game. Slow start for the Canadiens, down 2-0. But one of the most impressive things about this team since Marty St. Louis took over is they don't give up. And they fought back and they played really well. I mean, Chicago, they're tied with San Jose for last place in the NHL. So they got a pretty good shot at getting the number 1 overall pick again next year. But those are teams the Canadiens need to beat. And they're supposed to beat, and they did. And it's impressive. They got an 8-4-3 record on the road now, which is quite remarkable. And they're 5 points out of a playoff spot going into the game. So it's quite remarkable what they've been able to do this year when you think, lost Kirby Dach in the second game of the season. Newhook's been out for quite a while. They lost David Savard for an extended period. But the defense right now is really playing well. The 6 guys they have now are playing well, and Jaden Struble tonight, what a game! I mean, he's just how strong he is with the hit, and then the guy coming to take a run at him, and Struble knocking him on his butt, and then getting in a fight and winning the fight. As I think I said last time I was on with you, I don't think Jaden Struble is going to see Laval again. He's really been a real eye opener since he came here. He came here with confidence. He joined the Canadiens with confidence, and that confidence grows every single game, and you really notice it.
And he also made that play, a goal-saving play.
On the goal line,
He played goalie. He did his best Shohei Ohtani impression.
He's a really, really good player. Like, he does everything well. Moves the puck well. He skates well. He's physical. We saw how strong he is. We saw he can fight, too, if he has to fight. Just a really good player. And, I mean, coming into this season, he's not a guy people were talking about, right? I mean, nobody thought that Jaden Struble would be playing with the Canadiens right now, and Arbor Jacki would be in Laval, at least not when the season started. But it's going to be hard for Arbor Jacki to get a spot back here, and it's going to be hard for Jordan Harris to get a spot when he's recovered from his injury.
And that's one thing I always thought that worked against Jordan Harris. He's a fine player. I think the Canadiens see him as a part of the future of the team, which is a good thing. But he needs to get a shot. That if you want to be on the team term, you gotta have a shot, and it needs some work. I'm not gonna say he doesn't have one, but it needs some work.
It does, and he doesn't have the physical presence that Struble has either, but. Mark Bergevin used to have a good line. You can never have too many defensemen. It's so true. And the Canadiens have a lot of them, and they have a lot of young ones right now too. And there's a good battle for positions. No jobs are safe. I mean, I'm pretty sure David Savard will be moved before the trade deadline, which will open up a spot on the blue line here now. And it'll be interesting to see what Kent Hughes can get in return for him. The defense, I mean, they obviously need some more forwards who can score goals. But on the defense, this team is looking pretty solid moving forward. And, you look at the guys still coming up, and you got Reinbacher they drafted this year. You got Lane Hudson. You got Logan Mayu. They're stocked on the blue line. Yeah.
And, it's funny we mentioned, you mentioned him again. It's just David Savard since he's come back from injury. I mean, listen, he's not an offensive juggernaut, but we might have to stop saying that he's not one because he keeps scoring.
Tonight. And, I mean, you don't want to give away David Savard, and I think we mentioned this last time. If Kent Hughes doesn't get what he thinks David Savard is worth, I don't think he will move him, but I think he's going to get some good offers, especially the way David Savard's been playing right now. Solid veteran presence back there. Excuse me. I said I wasn't coughing. Now I'm coughing. But he's been really good on the development of these young guys here. And Jaden Struble talked about that with me the other day too. He sits right beside him in the practice rink in Brossard and talk about what a funny guy he is and makes him feel at home and jokes around with him and whatnot. But I think that's one of the things that's really important. Jonathan Kovacevic has become such a steady defenseman back there. He's really good. Mike Matheson, you could watch him skate all day. Him and David Savard are really good partners. Justin Barron's probably the guy who he's struggled a bit tonight. He gives a puck up too often. He puts himself in dangerous positions against the boards a lot too. I'm worried he's going to get hurt one time. In that game last night, that was a dirty hit from behind, but he also put himself in a real vulnerable position. We've seen him do that quite a few times this year. But that battle for blue line spots is really interesting to watch, not only this season, but moving forward as the Canadiens continue on this rebuilding plan.
Yeah, but you know what? On a night like tonight, like I said off the top, one of, if not the most impressive win by the Canadiens, just given the context of which
back-to-back games, and they're playing a bad team, but it's back-to-back games. They're on the road, and I said this team has been much better on the road than they are at home, and that might have to do with how young they are. I'm sure they have a good time hanging out on the road, going out for dinners together. Being together, I've said before, like a band of brothers, these guys, and maybe that's why they're better on the road. They're together all the time and they enjoy each other's company. And what a nice way for them to go into the Christmas break. I'm sure they'll be celebrating on the flight home tonight. Imagine the guys might have a beer or two even on the plane coming home and be happy to get home. And now they got 4 full days off. They don't have anything now until the 27th. They're supposed to arrive home around 2:30 this morning. And then they have nothing until the 27th when they fly to Carolina. They'll practice in Carolina that day, and then they play the next night against the Hurricanes. So what a nice way to go into the Christmas break for the Canadiens.
Well, that's the added layer that made it so impressive to me, because the Canadiens easily could have folded and said, we pushed it to overtime last night. It didn't go our way last night in Minnesota. We're in Chicago. We're down 2-0. Let's just pack it in. We'll regroup after Christmas. That we got that game against Carolina, who aren't doing too hot either. So maybe that could be our chance to regroup. But no, they fought and clawed their way back. Again, I don't care if it's a bad team. This bad team was up 2-0 on the Canadiens.
That's right. And the Canadiens are a team who have folded during this long Christmas New Year's stretch many times in the past. It's a 7-game road trip, and they have 5 out of 6 points in the first 3 games that started. What a way to start it. I mean, they're a little tougher the second part. They got Carolina, and then they got Florida and Tampa back-to-back, the 30th and New Year's Eve. But to start the road trip, 5 out of a possible 6 points. They've got points in each of their last 5 games now. They're 3-0-2 in their last 5 games. And they're doing this all despite not having Kirby Dach and despite not having Alex Newhook. And despite the 3 goalie system, which none of the goalies like, all 3 of them are playing well now. That's the first time Kaden Primo in his career he's won back-to-back games. Also the first time Juraj Slavkovsky's had points in back-to-back games. He's really starting to play now and use his size, and that's goals in back-to-back games. And Mitchell Stevens scores his first goal in I think it's 3 years in the NHL. So it was a good night for the Canadiens. I said that I'd love to be. I imagine they're probably on the plane now, or at least on the way to the airport, and it'll be a fun flight home, I'm sure.
Well, so it's funny because last week when we were talking to each other, we were pretty much singing a completely different tune. As it happens every so often, in hockey, because things change day to day, let alone week to week. But, we were talking about, I remember talking about Juraj Slavkovsky, and that, we acknowledge he's playing very well, but it wasn't translating into anything. Mm-hmm. And we were like, oh, well, this is going to have to turn a corner sometime. And Josh Anderson, he's not scoring any goals. It's gonna have
4 goals in 4 games now.
Now, a week later, we're seeing the fruits of the labor, and it's it must feel very vindicating and very good for Martin St. Louis, because he's facing these questions, he's talking, I'm sure he doesn't like talking about a first overall pick. He's, has to coddle him a little bit and be like, he's playing well. He wants to see him succeed. He wants to see his guys succeed. He goes to bat for them every day, and finally it's happening.
They were stretching for reasons to be positive about Slavkovsky, right? They're pulling up all these sort of fancy analytic stats to say how he's doing it. He had 2 goals in 50-something games going back to last year. He just wasn't producing. Where's the offense? There was nothing happening, and now it's starting to happen. Now we're starting to see. With Josh Anderson, I remember that great quote from Marty St. Louis when Anderson was stuck on that one empty net goal, and he said, I won't give up on him if he doesn't give up on himself. And Anderson didn't give up on himself, and now it's 4 goals in 4 games. And I think I mentioned last week, I'd be shocked if Josh Anderson doesn't score 20 goals this year. He's too good of a player, and he's too much of a proven goal scorer in the NHL. What a horrible slump he went through. But now you just see he's a different guy on the ice right now. He's got all his confidence back. Now they're just going to get Cole Caulfield scoring. Nick Suzuki's on a roll. He's on a 5-game point streak. We got Slavkovsky putting up points. Anderson scoring goals. The defense keeps scoring goals. Now Cole Caulfield can start scoring. That's going to make things a lot better going into after the Christmas break and the New Year.
And what I love the most about Slavkovsky's goal tonight is that, listen, they don't ask how, they ask how many.
Exactly.
That's the first thing. But what I really liked about that goal was that, we've been talking a lot on how he's playing better. He knows where to be on the ice. That's a player that's, you could say he got lucky, but having watched him get up to this point and scoring that goal of tonight, and last night, you could say it was lucky. Tonight, however, he put himself in that position. He knew where to be, and he knew where he was supposed to be. He knew his role on the ice, and the puck, it bounced and found its way in the front of his stick, and he put it in the back of the net. I really like that goal from Slavkovsky because it showed to me that he knows where he's supposed to be on the ice. And we said, in weeks past that the game is just, it's too fast for him right now. Like, he's not processing at the speed of the game at which the game is going, and we're starting to see him process the game.
Yeah, and Brian Wild on Twitter tonight tweeted, you want to see him score fancy goals, but hey, if he's going to stand in front of the net and just bang them in from there, they all count. And
exactly.
You might be too young to remember, but remember Tim Kerr, who played for the Flyers in the 1980s, and he used to score 50-plus goals every year by standing right there. He was a big guy, about the same size as Slavkovsky, and he just stood in front of the net and whacked in pucks. And they all count. He's going to say that he score 50-plus goals every year. Juraj Slavkovsky has more talent than Kerr, but he has that size and stand in front of the net for a defenseman to try and move him out of the way. It's not easy. It's a tough battle. And again, he's learning how strong he is. He's a boy. He's a boy in a man's body, but he's starting to realize the strength he has and how he can use that to his advantage. And maybe watching Jaden Struble is going to give him another idea, because Struble's not as big as him, but you look at the way Struble uses his strength to his advantage. So for Slavkovsky, there's been a lot of positive things to see the last 3-4 games here.
And you know what he must have gotten up for especially is that, again, we said it last week. He sees the memes comparing first overall pick to first overall pick of, Bedard already has, I don't know how many goals he has. I think 13 or something like that.
Yeah.
And that's more than Slavkovsky has in his career already. And he sees this stuff. He probably got up knowing that he's playing against a first overall pick, and he's saying, hey, listen, Mr. Bedard, I know you got the fancy moves and all this, but I'm a first overall pick too, and I could play hockey, and I was drafted first overall for a reason as well.
And one of the reasons the Canadiens drafted him is because of his personality. And they thought he'd be able to handle the pressure and the spotlight and everything that comes with playing with the Canadiens. And, being around Slavkovsky in the locker room after practices and after games, he's loving every minute of playing here. Like, he's enjoying, even when he's not playing well, he's smiling and he's happy and he's friendly dealing with the media. I'm sure he doesn't like, I don't know how much of it he reads or what he hears or whatever. It's hard to ignore everything, but it doesn't seem to faze him. Like, he's got a confidence in himself. And the Canadiens have a confidence in him. As Marty St. Louis said with Josh Anderson, if you don't give up on yourself, I don't give up on you. And Slavkovsky's got a lot of confidence. He's learning his way. It hasn't come as easy as with Connor Bedard, who's a generational talent. But he's finding his way, and he looks so much better. And I wrote a column earlier this year saying, he's not ready to play in the NHL. He should be in Laval. And I still think going to Laval would have helped him last year. And even earlier this year, but he's getting there now. Like, the Canadiens were confident the best way for him to progress was here. And I think deciding, hey, it's 9 games now that he's been playing with Caulfield and Suzuki. I think St. Louis' decision to put him there and put him on the number 1 power play unit gave him a little boost of confidence. And now we're seeing, 9 games. Like, it wasn't first time he put him with those guys, it was like 2-3 games, then he was gone. And then I think he played maybe 1 more, and then he was gone. This is a stretch of 9 games. And I'm not sure if Marty spoke with Slavkovsky before and said, you're going to play with these guys now for the next 10, 15 games. You're there. Don't worry about it. And if he did say that, the confidence, we're seeing it. We're seeing the confidence. And Suzuki's playing really well also. And as I said, they just need Caulfield now to start putting the puck in the net. But Caulfield's been playing okay away from the puck. He had a couple of nice back checks tonight, breaking up possible scoring opportunities. But there's a lot for Canadiens fans to be happy about tonight, and excited about what the future might hold. I mean, I still don't think this team's going to make the playoffs, but they're a lot closer at this point than I thought they would be after, was it 32 games now or 33 games, whatever it is.
And we say it all the time. We said it last week that this road trip is really going to tell us where the Canadiens will be moving forward in the season, knowing that, years past, the wheels kind of fall off on this road trip when they're going to miss the playoffs. It happened last year. It happened the year before. I mean, the year before they were dressing not enough skaters in the game. I remember.
Yeah, that's right.
They were playing against Florida.
Yeah.
So things usually fall apart for the Canadiens when they're going to miss the playoffs on this road trip. But as of right now, they're looking like they're sticking together. And like, listen, again, they beat Chicago, big whoop. But given the context of the game, I think that was a very, very impressive win, if not one of the most of the season. And for those maybe laughing at me, well, they also beat Winnipeg, who just beat Boston, I think 4-0 tonight. So it's a hard league. Anyone could beat anyone on any given night, and as long as your good players are showing up and they're playing like the way that they're playing right now, I really don't think there's much more than Martin St. Louis can ask for, other than maybe going back to a 2-goalie system. But hey, like you said, they're all playing.
But the 3-goalie system's working, and the schedule is a much easier Christmas schedule than they had last year when they played on the 23rd in Dallas and then didn't get home until like 5 a.m. on Christmas Eve, and then flew out again on the 27th. They had 4 full days. Like I said, they're going to be home. They'll be in their beds by 3:30 this morning. Or maybe staying up at 3:30 and having a beer or two to celebrate before they go to bed. I don't know. And then they got 4 full days to just chill. And I was wondering, like on the 27th, if they would practice in Brossard first and then fly, or what the plan was. And no, they're flying. They're going straight to the airport on the 27th, flying to Carolina and practicing in the afternoon and then playing the next day. So 4. Very rare in an NHL schedule. You get 4 days like this in the middle of the schedule. I know they have a bye week coming up at the end of January. But to go into this 4 days, like going into these 4 days off, losing to the Blackhawks, one of the worst teams in the NHL, would have been an honor. But winning, and especially the way they won tonight, and, with David Savard is one of the most loved guys in the team, getting the empty netter, with Josh Anderson scoring again, with Slavkovsky scoring again. You can see the guys on the bench sort of laughing and chuckling, with Struble getting into the fight and winning his fight. And there was a lot of things. Just I'm sure Marty St. Louis is going to have a really Merry Christmas, just whether he goes back to Connecticut with his family or whatever he's doing, but he's going to be, and he should, he's got a lot to be proud of with what his team has shown. And again, just how they don't give up, down 2-0 and they come back.
Again, it's since he called them soft back against Boston when the Bruins beat them very convincingly. They had, I don't want to say they turned a corner, but they're showing a lot more. Like we were saying at the beginning of the season, like, wow, we're really seeing, we used to say about the Canadiens, there's no quit in this team. And it's a couple games now. We're seeing them quit on the ice. And since that game in Boston, I don't think we've seen them, give up at any point. And really it shows on the ice and it shows in the results. If you don't give up and if you're always in the fight, you got a puncher's chance. And, a 15, 13 and whatever, I think 3 record shows that.
Well, I sent out a tweet tonight, or an X or whatever you call it now. Just saying, like 90% of coaching in pro sports, whether it's the NFL, the NBA, MLB, whatever, 90% of coaching is getting guys to want to play for you and buy into what you're selling, right? And teams don't come back the way the Canadiens always seem to come back, and don't give up the way they don't give up unless you like playing for your coach, you want to play for your coach, and you respect your coach. And there was a few of us after practice last week in Brossard talking with Jonathan Kovacevic about this. And I think it was Arpin Basu who asked them, Marty always talks about his rules, and he's not talking about offside or icing, like his rules for the game. And Arpin was asking Kovacevic, do you know what his rules are? There was 2 or 3 of us talking with Kovacevic, and he said, yeah, I do. And he says, I broke one the game against Pittsburgh. And he had pinched in when he shouldn't have pinched in or something like that. I don't remember the exact description. It was something along those lines. And he said, when it happened, I knew I had broken his rule. And I was like, oh, no. And I went to the bench, and Marty was really upset and let Kovacevic know it. And I said to Kovacevic, when a guy like Marty is so calm and cool all the time and doesn't seem to get angry that often, when he does get angry, does it have even more of an impact? And he laughs. Oh, yeah. He says, we respect him so much, and we like playing him for him so much that we don't want to let him down. And he says, we feel bad. He says, I felt horrible. He said, I knew I broke one of his rules, and I knew when I was going to the bench I had broken one of his rules. And I felt bad because you don't want to let him down. And he let me know that I had let him down in doing it. And then you don't want to make that mistake again. So that's a huge, huge part of coaching anything in professional sports, is having the players respect you so much that they're disappointed in themselves when they let you down. Like that says, to me, that says an awful lot about Marty St. Louis as a coach and why he's the right guy for this team now in this rebuilding process. And like every guy in this team seems to be buying in, and every guy in this team doesn't give up, and every guy in this team wants to win, and they want to win for Marty St. Louis.
So let's look at a big view now. Let's take the bigger view. We'll get back to some parts of the game because there's some players that we haven't thrown some flowers at yet that I'd like to, but it is the Christmas spirit. I haven't even wished our listeners and viewers of Merry Christmas yet. But so Merry Christmas, everyone. If you celebrate, I don't. But hey, some of you do. Most of you do. So if there was, we all have Christmas lists, birthday lists for me because my birthday's around the corner. It's holiday time. If there could be one thing on some players and the coaching staff's list. So like, let's look at Martin St. Louis. What do you think would be the number one thing on his wish list from Santa Claus for his team?
More goals from Cole Caulfield.
Yeah. I was,
Cole's got 8 goals now it is, and they paid him all that money to score goals. Marty keeps talking about how he's playing better away from the puck on both sides of the puck. Great. That's fantastic. But they give him that money to score goals. He's there to score goals. And if he's not scoring goals, that's, as I said, as where this team is now and the way they're playing and so close to a playoff spot and such an impressive record on the road, how many more games might they have won if Cole Caulfield, and 3 of Caulfield's goals are in overtime, game winners, but that means he's only scored 5 goals in regulation time this year. And it's not enough for what's expected of him, for what the Canadiens are paying him. So I think that would be his number one wish, is to get Cole Caulfield back to the Cole Caulfield we saw last season. I think I've said the last time I was on, you wonder how much of this might have to do with the shoulder surgery he had last season. Is the shoulder not what it used to be? He's still getting lots of shots, but I think that would probably, to me, be at the top of his Christmas wish list.
Yeah, that would make that kind of eliminates what would be on the top of Cole Caulfield's Christmas list, which I would imagine be a new hockey stick, because music might be a little cursed. So yeah. I think for Martin St. Louis, he just give him a healthy team. I think the guys the injuries need to stop. Just
bring Kirby Dach back. Bring Kirby Dach back.
Just get some players back in the lineup. It's one thing that's it's amazing to see, really, all things considered, because we talk so much. We spoke last week about Kirby Dach and how he might have a rough go on his way back from this injury, because he might not be 100%, and he's going to be behind the 8 ball if he comes back once the season's already started. It's hard to get into a groove. Hats off to David Savard even more, because he came back from an injury, and it's like, wow, he's playing at the top of his game, and he missed, 3, 4, whatever, however many weeks.
Fortunately for David Savard, though, it was a hand injury, so you can still ride the bike, you can still do all kinds of stuff to keep your cardio up. Right? You can't shoot a puck, or you can't stick handle or anything like that. But from a cardio standpoint, you can do all kinds. You can work out like you normally would, just with your hand in a cast. So that's a big thing. But with Kirby Dach, Kirby Dach and Alex Newhook were 2 of the key guys coming into this season, right? 2 of the key guys. Kirby Dach, what can he do now that he's back? When we saw him starting to blossom last season before he got hurt, like how big and Alex Newhook, the new guy coming in, how good is he going to be? And we didn't really get to see enough of Kirby Dach to realize how good he might be. He played 2 games, but Alex Newhook was really coming into his own. He was leading the team in goals when he got hurt, and just sort of finding his legs with his new team and feeling comfortable and everything else. And bang, he's gone for 12 weeks or whatever it is with the high ankle sprain. So yeah, when you say about having a healthy team, that that might be too much for him to even ask, the way things have been going. Santa's not going to give me that type of thing. But again, this team where they are right now is really impressive with what they've lost. And David Savard, we're seeing now, for maybe people who didn't appreciate David Savard that much, now that they've seen him, now that he's back, it's a different team with him back there. Steadies everything back there. He allows Mike Matheson to play the game Mike Matheson wants to play because he knows he's with another veteran and David's always going to be there to back him up. And Matheson's all over the ice. I mean, it was Arpin had a tweet tonight saying he's like Barry Sanders on skates. I thought that was a great comparison. He's all over the place. He's so agile. He's up and down. And that's a really, really good pairing with him and Savard.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. You know, maybe Mike Matheson would ask Santa. I mean, he already has access to one, but he'd ask for a personal one is an ice bath because boy, he's earned a rest and just, you know, he takes a beating out there. He's agile, like we said. He blocks shots like anyone else. He takes hits and, you know, just.
I'd like to ask Santa if I can. I'd like to ask Santa if I can skate like Mike Matheson for one day. Even just on the outdoor rink. I just have to go out and see what it's like to be able to skate like Mike Matheson. You know,
it's just
I played hockey since I was 5. I know how to skate, but like that. I mean, he's had such an elite, like he glides across. It's amazing to watch what a great skater he is. Forward, backwards, pivoting. That move when he comes out from behind the net, like the old Bobby Orr move and cuts in front. He's a really, really good hockey player. Really, really good defensive. And he's fun to watch. He's a lot of fun to watch.
You know, I hope this would be like really on my Christmas wish list. Is that like not a lot of people really watch the All-Star game all that much. I would love to see, you know, Mike Matheson make the All-Star game just so he would just naturally what he would do in the skills competition as fastest skater.
Yeah.
I would love to see him and him give it a go and then watch Cale Makar give it a go.
Mm-hmm.
And then just, you know, get a side-by-side shot. So I guess it's like a Christmas gift from the NHL to put Mike Matheson in the All-Star game, and also a Christmas wish from a gift from Sportsnet to give me that side-by-side shot just so you could compare the two skaters.
Not only fastest skater, it would be great if they had like an agility skating event in there too. You know, with pivoting and turning forwards, backwards, and so that's Matheson's game. It's not just straight ahead speed, which he has. It's the way he can pivot and avoid guys and go from forward to backwards. And as Marty St. Louis said this year, it's just he doesn't even. It's not like he doesn't even dig into the ice. He just almost floats above the ice. I'm trying to remember a guy in the Canadiens who skated like that in the past, and I'm having a hard time to think who that might be. I can't remember the Canadiens having a guy who skated like that. I mean, Bobby Orr is my favorite player as a kid. Used to watch him skate. I'm not saying Mike Matheson's Bobby Orr, but he's got the skating ability to with and without the puck. I mean, there's times you see him get caught up ice and boom, he comes right back. And that reminds me of watching Bobby Orr when I was a kid, because Bobby Orr would rush and lose the puck and then he'd be the first guy coming back. And Matheson has some of that in him. He's a real, and what a trade that was for Kent Hughes, who basically got him for nothing. When you look at Pittsburgh, what they got for him, they've lost. So it's Petrie's gone, and it's just a great trade by Kent Hughes to bring him here.
You know, I don't know what that trade tree would look like because I don't know what's behind it, but it's, you know, that trade tree is amazing because the Canadiens essentially got Jeff Petrie for nothing. They got him for Sebastian Kohlberg, who was a second-round pick, who amounted to nothing. He was an exciting prospect when he got drafted. I remember he could shoot the lights out, but amounted to nothing. And then they trade Petrie for Mike Matheson. It's a pretty amazing trade tree.
Yeah, and then Ryan Poehling, who was part of that trade, he's now in Philadelphia. I think he's got 4 goals this season. So it's, I mean, what a great trade. And, you know, Hughes has known Matheson since he was a kid. He was his agent. He's known him since he was like 14, 15 years old. So he knew not just what a good hockey player is, but he also knew what a good person he is. And I knew how well he would fit in the locker room with this young team and how he'd become a leader. He's got an A on his sweater for a reason. It was just, I mean, he's just a good person, Mike Matheson. When you talk to him, you see him, and you see his wife and his kid, and that he's just a solid person on and off the ice. And those are the type of people that Kent Hughes wants in this rebuild. And he's a key. I think he takes some of the leadership weight off of Suzuki also. He can do interviews in both languages, right? So he takes some of the media spotlight away from Nick too. He's got more experience. He's a guy I think that Suzuki can lean on if he needs to. It's Gallagher is the other assistant captain. Gallagher's got a little bit more personality, more of a fiery personality, which is good, whereas the Matheson's much more laid back and calm and cool. So I think it's a good leadership group with those three guys. But with Matheson, I think he really helps Suzuki when it comes to that leadership role in the locker room and dealing with the media also.
Yeah, I really like what Mike Matheson has brought to this team. And hey, let's not discredit, you said it, he could do interviews in both languages. Let's not discredit also, or not really discredit, but like, let's not forget what it means to be, have such a big role on this team and what this team means to the city and being a kid from here.
Yeah, he remembers it. He's spoken it, and he remembers his dad would take him to 2 or 3 games a year, and they'd sit up in the high seats and watch the game. And like he was telling me, there's times he's on the ice and he looks up and he remembers where he used to sit when he was a kid to watch the game. And that's so cool. Like he wants to be here. Like he wants to play here. His wife's from Buffalo, not too far away. She played on the U.S. Olympic hockey team. I'm sure she's happy to have the grandparents nearby. You need somebody to take the kid for a day. They're right there. It's a really good setup for Mike Matheson here. And, he wants to play here. Josh Anderson wants to play here. Nick Suzuki wants to play here. He wouldn't have signed that contract. Cole Caulfield, an American kid, he wants to play here. The Canadiens, the change since Gorton and Hughes took over from Bergevin and when Marty St. Louis came is like night and day. Like Montreal's a place that guys want to play now. Guys want to play here. Guys who come like and Cole Caulfield, what better example is there? Like an American kid from Wisconsin. When you're playing hockey in Wisconsin, you're not a big star, right? You're not under a huge spotlight. I mean, in Montreal he is, but he enjoys it. He embraces it, and he likes playing here. And there's guys here now that want to be here and they want to stay here. I was talking with Jake Allen last week. He's probably the most likely of the 3 goalies to get traded, and he was saying how much he likes it in Montreal and his family likes it here and his kids like it here. He said how his kids are learning French at school and how that's going to be really good because after he retires, if he goes back to New Brunswick, it's a bilingual province, and it'll help for his kids being able to speak French. And he wants to be here too. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with that goalie situation, how much longer it can go on. But when all 3 goalies are playing well, Kent Hughes can sit back. He doesn't have to rush into doing anything, right? Because the price will only get higher if they can. All 3 can keep playing well. The price for a goalie will get higher near the trade deadline, especially if a top goalie gets hurt and on a team that's going into the playoffs and they're desperate for goaltending. The price will go up. So his patience, that's one of the strongest things. I wrote a column last week saying patience and confidence are 2 things that really impressed me about Kent Hughes and his patience with this goaltending situation. It looks like it might just pay off. I mean, Caden Primo, first time in his career with back-to-back wins. So the other GMs who might have been writing off Caden Primo, or even Canadiens fans who might have been writing off Primo, or media, I was like thinking, okay, this guy's enough. Put him on waivers, send him back to Laval, move on. But now he's starting to play well. So if Kent Hughes, the patience with the goalies might just pay off for him.
I think it will, as things usually do for Kent Hughes. It's another it's another win in the column tonight for Caden Primo, one of the players who I would like to give some flowers to. He played a decent game, didn't face too much. He started off a little shaky, but then he settled into his net once he started to get some more shots because he only faced he didn't face that many in the first period. Let's went in late.
Yeah. Well, he made that huge save on the 2-on-none, and then Struble made the second save. And then right after that, like a minute later, you got beat to the glove hand again. I was like, oh, man, the 5 goals against Florida, all to the glove hand. I was like, oh, boy, here we go again. But he tightened up after that. When I spoke with him about that last week, and he said he let it get to him a little bit, the glove thing. And one of the things he's learning this season is just you're going to let in bad. He said you want every goal back. But there's some goals are going to be good goals, some goals are going to be bad goals. So you just got to forget about it and move on. And tonight he seemed to be able to do that because he got beat in the glove hand, and it had to have entered his mind for at least a second. Yeah. Oh boy, and it looked like he was able to wipe that out and continue on and have a solid game.
Yeah, I really liked his game tonight. It's like we said, the goaltenders are playing well. It's hard not to like the games of many of the goaltenders with the way that they're playing. And like we've heard on insider trading segments in the past few days, articles on The Athletic from the insiders and whatnot, is that the goaltending market is going to really pick up in 2024. So, when this is when, like we said, when teams start making those pushes and the deadline nears closer, that's when it's really going to get ramped up, and you're going to hear more, maybe perhaps more smoke around goaltenders' names than we have in the past. Because before it was just kind of assumption, right? We're like, Edmonton, they suck. They just put Jack Hamill on waivers. They're obviously looking for a goalie.
Or you have a goalie who's struggling. You're hoping he's going to find his game. The salary cap obviously plays into this. You're hoping he's going to find his game, but then you reach a point where he hasn't found it. And the later you go in the season, the less of the salary cap you're going to take for the goalie you're taking on, right? Jake Allen's 3 point whatever million he's making. The fewer games in the season, obviously, the less of a hit that is on your salary cap. So all those things factor into it. But for now, we're talking about, Marty St. Louis being pretty happy on the plane coming home. I'm sure Kent Hughes is pretty happy on the plane coming home too, because I'm sure there was times he was wondering about Caden Primo also, like, man, I'm worried somebody's going to claim him, but are they really, he hasn't played well, and are they really going to claim him? And I'm sure he has talks to other GMs around the league, and I'm sure he had the feeling and he strongly believed or knew for sure that somebody was going to claim him if he put him on waivers, and that's why he didn't. It's not the best situation for him not playing. If he'd gone down to Laval, he would have been playing a ton of games. Laval's had horrible goaltending down there all season. But Kent Hughes is convinced that somebody would take Caden Primo, and he doesn't want to asset management. He doesn't want to give him up for nothing.
Well, there you go. And it's ultimately going to be the right move, because they're going to get something for one of the two goalies. I'm assuming they're not going to trade Montembeault. They just signed him.
I'm pretty sure it'll be Allen who gets traded. He's 33, I think he is now, or 32. He's not going to be, and he's spoken about this, how he's not going to be here when this rebuild is at the top, or is ready to go. And in a perfect world right now, I think Kent Hughes could see, if Sam Montembeault's your number one goalie and he can play 50 games, and if Caden Primo is good enough, you can play him 30 games a year. It's not a huge hit on the salary cap between the two of them. Leaves them money to spend, maybe find another goal scorer, a forward who can score goals. That's a pretty good situation. So that's how he's letting this all play out. And as I said, I'm pretty sure Jake Allen's the guy that is most likely to get moved. I think he's probably. I don't think he's going to. There might be interest in Montembeault, but they're not going to trade Montembeault. I'd be shocked if he trades Montembeault. He right now he's the goalie of the future, especially with that new 3-year contract they signed him to. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens. And as I said, if Primo continues to play like he is now, if you can play him every fourth game during the season or fifth game, and he can play like he did the last two starts, then you're pretty good position.
Yeah. So, again, we'll see. The goaltending market is supposed to pick up. I sure hope it does. I want some trades. I know we're in a trade freeze, but I want to see some trades. Make things exciting.
Salary cap makes it hard, man. Everything is salary cap. The whole NHL revolves around the salary cap now. And then you watch what's happening in baseball now. The Dodgers are just paying $1 billion for everybody. We'll take you and you. It's like Oprah. We'll take you and you and you and you.
You get $300 million.
Yeah, you get $300 million.
You get $700 million. It's unreal.
The NHL, everything revolves around the salary cap. It's two different worlds.
You know what? It's funny. I was having this discussion tonight at dinner. Where am I crazy? But where does all this money in? Not to get sidetracked, but once we're doing it. Where does all this money in baseball come from?
It just
That's
shows
what
you.
I'm wondering.
The Dodgers. How much money are the Dodgers going to make just on Ohtani sweaters?
It's crazy.
And how many Dodger hats? And how much are they going? How much is their advertising going to grow, both in America and overseas? This guy's a worldwide star. He goes beyond baseball in many ways. It's these guys who own these teams. If, as I would say, they wouldn't pay these guys this money if they couldn't afford to pay them that much money, right?
Yeah, that's right.
And the values of these franchises, the value. So much about pro sports now is about the franchise value from the owner's perspective.
Right.
How much is your franchise going to be worth? Dodgers, I'm sure, are worth a little bit more today than they were before they got these guys. If they want to turn around and sell the franchise in a couple of years, I mean, the Ohtani thing's gonna be interesting because he's already had arm surgery. He's not gonna be able to pitch this season.
Yeah,
And like most of these mega monster contracts, they don't end well, right? There's more of them end badly than end well. Usually the guy gets hurt or gets too old, or go back to hockey. Jonathan Huberdeau right now in Calgary hasn't no points in December. There's very few of these huge contracts, long-term huge contracts that work out. In hockey, you got Ovechkin and Crosby and McDavid. I'm sure work out. There's more big mega deal contracts in sports that don't work out than do work out.
So I'm going to ask you this, Stu. I'm going to put you on the spot.
Mm-hmm.
Would you rather? Let me find the perfect team to see this. Okay. Oh, there's a couple. There's more billion-dollar teams in the NHL than I thought there was.
Yeah,
okay.
There's the Rangers, the Leafs. Yeah.
So the Tampa Bay Lightning are valued at exactly $1 billion US.
Okay.
Would you rather Shohei Ohtani and the other Japanese player that the Dodgers signed this year?
Yeah.
Or would you rather own the Tampa Bay Lightning?
I'd rather own the Tampa Bay Lightning. I love Tampa. I love Tampa. I can live in Tampa. The river walk to the rink in Tampa. There's a reason why guys who play for the Lightning never want to get traded. There's a reason why. From someone who's been in Tampa and covered games in Tampa, there's a reason why. So I'd rather have the Tampa Bay Lightning. I'd have my boat parked. I'd have my boat parked a 5-minute walk from the rink. I'd walk the river walk to go to the games. I'd go have a nice meal afterwards and a couple of beers on the riverfront. And then
or just have your house on
it's Fisher Island, I think it's called. There's where all the players live, and they have jet skis. They jet ski to each other's houses, and that I could get into that.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Why don't you just have one of your houses on the Intercoastal and then just drive your boat to the game?
Yeah.
But it's crazy to me though that these two baseball contracts are worth more than almost more than half the NHL teams.
Well, Ohtani's going to make. Well, I know so much of it is deferred payments, but I mean, if you break it down, his annual salary is more than I think it's 7 teams in baseball are paying their whole payroll. It's crazy.
Yeah, I know. It's nuts. Yeah. It's nuts. So listen, on my Christmas list is a $700 million contract for Sammy and Yellow to present to me. But so let's.
I'll just take the Tampa Bay Lightning. Just give me the Tampa Bay Lightning.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Fair enough. So let's go back to Christmas lists for a second, if we can. I want to hit you with 2 more. What would be on Uri Slavkovsky's Christmas list this year?
That's a good question. That's a really good question. I was going to say confidence, but he's got confidence already. Well, goals, but obviously more goals.
They're starting to come.
They're starting to come. So how is he going to get those goals? I guess I would just say goals, get more goals or figuring out how to score more goals. And maybe we saw that tonight with him standing in front of the net and whacking that loose puck in.
Yeah, I agree. And you know what? I think the Christmas break, it's funny because the Christmas break for a lot of guys is coming at the right time. But for some guys, it's like they probably like Slavkovsky and Nick Suzuki and David Savard and Mike Matheson and Josh Anderson, they probably want to keep playing. They're the ones driving the boat right now.
Yes and no, because I think these guys, they have a pretty grueling schedule. Hockey players, I mean, they do have they make a lot of money in that, but I mean the travel and the wear and tear on their bodies. I think more than anything, it's just the 4 days to let their bodies just whatever. I mean, I figure guys maybe play 10 to 15 games a season, or maybe 20 games where they feel 100%. You've always got something, right? You've got a sore wrist where the guy slashed you the last game. You've got a sore ankle where you took a shot 3 games ago. You've got a shoulder that hurts from a hit. There's always something. When we're waiting to go in the locker room after games, you don't see it at the Bell Center because we can't see the training room, but on the road you can see where there's always guys in on the trainers' rooms getting massages, getting injuries worked on with ice packs. So I think for whether you're playing good or not playing good right now, I think just 4 days to just let your body just take a break, and hopefully those little bumps and bruises you have get a chance to heal. Hopefully you don't eat too much turkey or whatever, and put on a few pounds. But these guys can get rid of that pretty quick. But I think it's just the 4 days. I think the best Christmas gift to a hockey player is just rest. Just 4 days of complete rest. You realize how many times in a season these guys tie their skates and put their equipment on and off? It's like it's crazy. Like it's amazing how fast they can get out of their equipment. Like we go in the locker room, 5 minutes after the game, and the guys are already gone. Like they're out of their equipment's all hanging up in the stalls. They're gone. They're in the showers or they're whatever. It's incredible how fast they get in and out of equipment. But just 4 days to not put on the hockey gear and not just chill. And I think that's whether you're playing well or whether you're not playing well. I think that's the best Christmas gift for a hockey player. Yeah,
and that, you know what? I think that these 4 days couldn't have come for a better time for a guy that we spoke about last week who, listen, the Canadiens are playing well, so you're not going to talk too much about these things. But, Caden Gooley has been going through a little bit of a slump, had a little bit of a better week this week. Mm-hmm. But I think it's, much like you just said, for every player, I think this 4 day break will do players, especially like him, a young guy, maybe just take a step back because he's an important player to the team. There's no more, Caden, let's take a seat upstairs for a game or two.
Well, they had him. I think he was basically shadowing. He was on with Connor. Basically, every time Connor Bedard was on the ice, Gooley was on the ice. That was a lot of what the Stefan Robida and Marty St. Louis think about him as a player. And Bedard had 1 assist tonight. Didn't really notice him that much, right? It wasn't the Connor Bedard show tonight. It was more of a Slavkovsky show than it was a Bedard show. And Gooley had a lot to do with that. So I don't worry about Caden Gooley at all. He does too many things well. He does everything well. He's such a solid all-around player on the ice. He's very mature for his age. He's very, there's going to be ups and downs. It's easy for him. He's 22 years old, right? He's playing well above what you expect from a 22-year-old. You'd expect a 22-year-old to be making mistakes all the time all over the ice. He's such a solid player, solid person off the ice too. So I don't have any. I think Caden Gooley is going to be a rock-solid defenseman for the Canadiens for many, many years to come.
Yeah, I don't think there's any doubt about that. He's, like you said, they put him on shadowing the most dynamic player on the Chicago Blackhawks tonight, and frankly, one of the most dynamic players in the league. Which is it's pretty cool that the Canadiens got already their looks at the Connor Bedard. I mean, just closing though, like, man, they said it on the broadcast tonight, like, if Chicago's like bad for a couple more years, which they probably will be, they got like first round picks coming out of their ears.
They could have the number one.
My God,
they could have the number 1 overall pick next year again.
Yeah, they could. Thankfully, the rules though.
The kid is going to play. The Canadian kid at the World Fantilli at the World Juniors. I mean, imagine him and Connor Bedard together on the same team.
It's insane. And like they said on the broadcast that they got 2 first-round picks this year, 2 first-round picks the year after. They got like 3 second-round picks next year. It's crazy. They got like people say like, oh, the Canadiens, they got 11 picks in this upcoming draft. It's like the Chicago Blackhawks almost have like 11 first-round picks in this draft. It's crazy, man. But so the Canadiens, I think, biggest thing going into to next week is just, Martin St. Louis is probably saying, just in finishing up, he'll probably say to his team in the morning or the afternoon, I should say, because that's when they're practicing in Carolina, is all right, guys, you just got like a gift from the hockey gods. Like you never, like, when was the last time you've ever had a 4-day break in the middle of a season outside of when they introduced the bye week? When do you get that? Let's get a good hard practice in and like let's beat the hell out of these. And
I'm sure on the plane ride or after the game, he told them, enjoy the 4 days, enjoy your family. He's a real family guy, Marty himself. Enjoy the time with your family. Forget about hockey. Come back on the 27th and be ready to go. Be ready for a hard practice on the 27th and be ready to go.
All right. What's on the Christmas dinner table? I need to know before I let you go.
For us, turkey. It's always turkey. Turkey's
always turkey.
I'm lucky. My wife, French-Canadian background, she's a hell of a cook, and she loves to cook, and I like to eat. So maybe that's why we've been together for 32 years.
It's a good pair. That's why you make a good pair. Well, Stu, Merry Christmas to you and yours, and have a great weekend and have a great holiday.
All right. Happy holidays to you and everybody out there.
Thank you very much, Mr. Stu Cowan. I'm Matt Ohayon. I'm the Hebrew Hammer. Listen, I like the Christmas season. I might be the Hebrew Hammer, but I do like the Christmas season. It's always nice. So everyone out there, to the Sick family, we want to wish you all a very, very Merry Christmas. That's from me. That's from Tony. That's from Sammy. That's from Aniello. That's from producer Shane and all of our other guests and regulars on the Sick podcast. For producer Shane, I'm Matt Ohayon. Merry Christmas. We'll catch you next time.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast with Tony Marinaro on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts. The Sick Podcast is brought to you by Energy Transportation Group, driven to be different. LaVie.tv, embrace your true nature. And Playground, your premier gaming destination.